These are the 4 things that Zwane got wrong this season. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pilo, I am your host. This is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. I'm a Khosi Football Club. Sorry for the late upload. Load shedding happened. So, I want us to look at the things that Zwane got wrong because yes, I will say this, Uguti. Personally, I still believe Ugutu Zwane can get better next season and probably get something out of next season. However, today we're not talking about the positives of Zwane, but we're talking about the negative things that he hasn't gotten quite right. This is not me bashing him and saying, oh, he sucks, he's useless, whatever. But it's to just highlight the 4 things that he got wrong. The first one is underestimating the people that were there before him. I am talking about Gavin Hunt, Stuart Baxter, and Smith-Dorp. If you have listened to how Zwane talks about the people who came before him, his predecessors, he often talks down on them, right? Like in a way, we're doing better this season than the other season. If you check, yes, there are aspects of our game and our stats achieves that are better this season than they were in previous seasons. But there are also other aspects of our game and stats that were better in previous seasons that are bad in this season. And to even show you, Uguti, he doesn't just undermine the people who were before him. It also seems like he actually doesn't like them. Like you look at the game here, Super Sport, Uguti, he didn't even shake hands with Gavin Hunt, right? That just shows you, Uguti, the relationship between the two wasn't so great. You look at how the season ended with him and Baxter last season. You saw that they were no longer like in talking terms. Zwane was just an isolated figure and Baxter was there, and just you could see something is not working well. So I would definitely say Zwane, to me, it seems like he despised or undermined everything that those guys do, to a point that even the little things that he could have learned from them, he ended up just dismissing them. Like for instance, why they play Umakita Spegan. Which leads me to the next point, which is Zwane was too much in terms of saying something else and doing something else. Example, when the season started, Zwane talks about how Chiefs is going to play football that is entertaining, lovely to watch, and stuff like that. First game, great to see that. Second game, we kind of see that. Third game, and then soon we just see everything change. After that loss to Sundowns, Chiefs all of a sudden they are now more defensive. They are no longer implementing high press. They are no longer combining. They are playing fewer passes. They are now kicking the ball. All of a sudden, what Zwane said is no longer matching what he's doing. And the thing that he promised us as fans, Uguti, he's going to play exciting football, is no longer there. Now it goes back to Uguti. Had he learned why the coaches before him were playing Makita Spegane, then he was going to try and make sure with the quality that Chiefs can afford, he can try to get us as close as possible to the football that Chiefs wants to play. Because if he says, okay, I am trying to play fancy football, but these players are not doing what I want them to do. But if you're going to move from this position you're good to playing fancy football to the other extreme, you're good to know we're just kicking the ball, then that's why people will end up asking things like, what is Zwane's philosophy? What is he actually doing? What is he trying to do at Chiefs? You understand what I'm saying? Because me in a personal, I will say this, I've seen Zwane, I've seen some combinations in the team since he came on, which we didn't see in the previous coaches. But the sad thing is that he just abandoned that. And those things that he did beginning of the season were matching what he's saying. Like other things like we don't want Caleb and then bringing on Caleb. You see things like that. Yes, some of the decisions were not entirely his, but there's been a lot of things that he said in public that he should have kept to himself that would have otherwise kept him out of trouble. And because of that, he has now been in the situation that he's in. If you are enjoying this video, by the way, please do make sure to like it so that YouTube can spread it to more people like you. Point number 3, and I will say this, favoritism, right? Zwane, once again, it links to the point that I just mentioned, Yoguti. What he says and what he does ends up not matching. Remember what he said, Uguti, we will not be nursing players' feelings, right? But what ends up happening is that players like Abo Blom, who had one bad game against Royal at the beginning of the season, just because he was facing a good player, he got benched. You had players like Abongezana making mistakes, rightfully so. They got benched. You had players like Abo Stebe, their season didn't start well. They got benched. You had Omat where were consistently inconsistent. Matt only performed against the Pirates this season. The games that I've seen him play, he's only played well against the Pirates. He's been there every other game, even though he played bad. You have a player like Caleb. We have Utuba. Utuba has not been given a chance, but Caleb uyadlala nomeboze njalo. So then the question is, why does this thing yokunesa ama feelings abadlali apply to certain players and does not apply to certain players? I know other people will already be bringing up in Dabaganja, but there are a lot of other examples that you can look at that scream favoritism. And because of that, that might not just affect how we see him, Uguti, why is he not doing this, but it can also affect how the players react to him. Like we saw this weekend when Umtu was taken off Uguti, he wasn't happy because he still thought he could offer something to the team. And by the way, that's another thing, Uguti, in his selection or taking out of players, it seems to be easier to take out Abumtu instead of Umati no Mumatebos, but Umtu is still in the game. So then once again, it's that thing, Yoguti. Why does it seem like there is selective there's favoritism, basically? That's what I'm trying to say. And that's the question that Zwane needs to sort out. Excuse me, I can't edit this out also. It's been here. Point number 4 about Zwane. Oh my God, this thing just affected me so bad. Okay, so another thing that I have seen that Zwane has done is lack of plan B, for a lack of a better term. Plan B seems like Hawuko, and I will use the simplest thing. I will start by saying this. I know to plan B could be changing our tactics, and let's say we start with the 4-2-3-1, but we see good, okay, Lamachit about train midfield and they're physical than us. Let's just change to 4-4-2 diamond and make sure Guti we have more players in the midfield, and then we make sure Guti even the strikers can drop into midfield, and then we have 5v3, and then we're squeezing them, we're pushing them to midfield. We see that. You can talk about that, but that's a more technical side. But a simple thing as substitutions, we have seen the impact that substitutions have in the game, but also when it didn't use a subs like asebenzisa Peyo to Munt after 70 minutes, and then my said desperate ngempela asebenzisa the other subs, the other one sub in the 85th minute. And you look at this, you have 3 more subs that are unused, and you cannot tell me Guti you're just gonna keep a player who's tired, who's not giving you anything for 60 minutes, because that's like, if you don't want to change players at halftime, then you give them 15 minutes after first half, you see how they play, then you take them out. But Zwane doesn't do that, and because of that, it just looks like he doesn't have a plan B. It looks like he just trusts the players that are there. And yes, some people will say, but sometimes, Pilo, you look at the bench that we have and you can see there's no one who can actually come in and change the game. But sometimes you have Caleb grounding, you have Utube benching. You get me? Sometimes you have Umtu benching and you have Caleb grounding. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you have Umahlatz. I know some people don't like Umahlatz. You have Umahlatz benching and Usael is not doing anything. So it's like we've been playing with the same players and the others are not being given a chance, although we are calling this a building season. So if we're building, that means sometimes we have to try and experiment with different things to see, Uguti, can these other things work better than the things that we already have? Because if you're going to say, this is my starting 11, I'm sticking with them until the end of the game, then you are not really learning much about your team, are you? What else did I leave out? Let me know down on the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. And until next time, remember, equals Alpelo Moy.